So, diving into Bitcoin's future, there's some bold predictions floating around, like Bitcoin potentially reaching $250,000 by 2025, as Tom Lee has recently pointed out. And
Yeah,
he also mentioned the idea of $1 million price over time.
that's a wild range, isn't it? I mean, from $250,000 in just a year or so to a million eventually, it's a huge leap.
Absolutely. It's like, comparing a sprint to a marathon. Tom Lee, for instance, laid out that milestone, expecting Bitcoin to build on its momentum. He talked about maybe starting at 120,000, then bumping to around 200,000 and even 250,000 within 2025.
Yep. And what's interesting is that while Lee's target seems super bullish, not everyone in the crypto community is on the same page, right? Some analysts are more cautious.
Exactly. There's a split here. On one side, we've got fund managers and crypto veterans like Arthur Hayes and Joe Burnett echoing similar numbers. But on the flip, you have voices from Bernstein and Standard Chartered setting the year-end Bitcoin target closer to $200,000, while 10x Research even floated a modest $160,000 estimate.
So, it really comes down to differing market outlooks. How do you see this divergence affecting investor sentiment?
Well, it seems to me the debate itself is a sign of ongoing price discovery. Lee mentioned skepticism as a positive thing, a sign that the market hasn't been overly hyped up.
Right.
When too many people are bullish, the price tends to already reflect that optimism. But here, the room for surprise seems greater.
That makes sense. But don't you think sometimes this skepticism might also weigh down the mood? I mean, there's like a balancing act between optimism and cautious realism.
True, I see your point. It's like, a chef trying to balance spices. Not too sweet and not too bitter. A little pinch of skepticism can spice things up, leading to positive surprises once the price finds its right level.
Yeah. And speaking of surprises, Bitcoin's recent volatility is pretty extreme. It hit a new all-time high of $123,100 back in mid-July, then slid down to support around $113,000. What do you make of that?
It definitely shows the wild roller coaster nature of crypto. Even as analysts chat about these lofty targets, Bitcoin's price movements remind us how volatile the market is. It's like one moment everything's surging, and the next it's pulling back amidst some market fatigue.
And what about the broader market sentiment? I heard that the Crypto Fear and Greed Index dropped from a greed score of 60 to a neutral score of 54 recently. That's not too bullish if you ask me.
Exactly. The drop in the index indicates a cooling off, a sort of recalibration among investors. But Lee interprets that skepticism as a healthy sign. It means there's real price discovery process happening. In a way, it leaves room for an eventual upward correction.
Yep, right, but I'm a bit skeptical, pun intended, about relying too heavily on such indices. They can be volatile and might not capture all nuances.
Fair point. While the Fear and Greed Index is just one indicator among many, it still gives a snapshot of, general market sentiment. And when you combine that with fundamental views on Bitcoin's potential as a store of value and institutional interest, it paints a picture of long-term upward trajectory despite short-term fluctuations.
It's interesting too how Lee and others point to the potential end of Bitcoin's 4-year boom cycle, attributing it, or what I mean, to mounting institutional interest. It seems like this dynamic could fundamentally change how Bitcoin moves.
Yeah, exactly. The idea is that as more institutions jump on board, the price might stabilize more, making those old cyclical patterns less pronounced. But then again, there's another camp, like Rect Capital, arguing that if the cycle sticks to the 2020 pattern, we might see a peak around October, roughly 550 days after the next halving in April 2024.
Right. There's so many variables at play. I even heard Bitwise's chief investment officer, Matt Hoogan, calling the halving cycle dead and forecasting an up year in 2026 instead.
Yep, that's another angle. questioning whether the historical cycle will continue to be the main factor or if institutional investment will upend those patterns entirely. This divergence makes predictions both exciting and challenging at the same time.
Out of curiosity, how do you think these differing forecasts impact day-to-day trading strategies?
Well, on a practical level, it means traders and investors need to stay nimble. Some might bet on a big, rapid surge in the next downturn, expecting that flashpoint around 250,000, while others may take a more conservative stance, watching for steadier growth and then betting on the long term, maybe even that $1 million mark.
It seems like the market's divided between those who want quick gains and those who are in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. And you can't ignore the macro factors here. The overall economic climate, regulatory developments, and adoption trends. They all add layers of complexity.
Yeah, and that might explain why you see such a range in price predictions, from $160,000 to $250,000 by the end of next year, and then an eventual $1 million dream.
Sure, it's a bit like a buffet of forecasts. Each analyst is picking different ingredients based on their perspective. Lee's bullish narrative taps into the idea that despite short-term corrections, there's enduring fundamental strength in Bitcoin.
Definitely. I do wonder though, isn't there a risk that too much confidence might lead to a bubble? I mean, if everyone starts expecting these high figures, might that itself distort the market?
That's a valid concern. It's a fine line between healthy skepticism and over-optimism. Lee seems to appreciate that balance, using current market skepticism as a counterweight to over-bullish sentiment. But if, say, major players start hyping these numbers too much, it might indeed lead to a bubble scenario.
True. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy if public sentiment shifts drastically.
Exactly. And that's why investors should always do their own research and not just rely on headline targets. The volatility is real, and while it's exciting to think about these numbers, the journey there might be quite turbulent.
Yeah. So, wrapping it up, we've got a lot of excitement around Bitcoin possibly hitting $250,000 in the near term, and even more, $1 million eventually, but it's all tempered with realistic caution due to market volatility and the unpredictability of cycles.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that while bold predictions can drive enthusiasm, the crypto market remains inherently unpredictable. Investors need to be ready for swings and keep an eye out on both technical indicators and the bigger, more fundamental trends.
Yep, and there's a lesson here for anyone trading or investing in this space. Balance your long-term vision with the day-to-day ups and downs, and don't let the hype cloud your judgment.
Spot on. It'll be interesting to see how these predictions hold up as we edge closer to 2025 and how the market adapts along the way.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for the deep dive. It's been enlightening to unravel these angles together.
Absolutely. Always great to discuss the complexities of crypto with a fresh perspective. Here's to an exciting future ahead.